Good morning, y'all. Greetings. We're going to wait a few minutes, just a few seconds, let everybody get in here. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Health is Wellness, hosted on the Minorities for Medical Marijuana platform. My name is Nicole Buffong, your host for today. So grateful that you all could make it and joining us for this another great episode of Health is Wellness. We are speaking with an amazing doctor today. I'm so excited to get you all introduced to her. And if you are here, let us know where you are listening from, what state, what city. I am broadcasting live from Las Vegas, Nevada. And I know that for some of you, it is still morning. And for those of you on the East Coast, it is afternoon. So welcome from wherever you are coming in from. Hopefully we'll have some international people today joining us. Thank you, Toya. Welcome. We want to say welcome to all of you who know and are interested in learning more about cannabis as medicine. That's what this platform is for. I'm so excited today to talk with Dr. Bridget Williams, who is an amazing physician who made the transition from a doctor, a family physician, fully into cannabis, and she's proud about it. And she tells everybody that she meets about it, and we're so grateful to have her. Dr. Bridget Williams is an established board-certified family physician and the founder and medical director of Green Harvest Health, a medical cannabis clinic located in Pickerington, Ohio. Green Harvest Health is the only medical cannabis and life coaching office in Ohio. And Dr. Williams brings nearly 20 years of experience in family medicine from the Cleveland Clinic and certifications in life and cannabis coaching to her practice. So Dr. Williams, Dr. Bridget, I lovingly call her.
Yes.
Welcome. Welcome to Health is Wellness, our February edition for Black History Month. We welcome you to our platform. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nicole. I'm excited to do this and have a great conversation with you.
Absolutely. So today's program is titled How to Become a Cannabis Doctor. So can you tell us a little bit about your transition from family physician into this cannabis education forum? How did that happen for you?
Absolutely. So to be honest, it was a long time coming. I did not grow up in the cannabis space, but I had a patient probably more than 15 years ago now that asked me about cannabis. And this was back when a lot of people were asking about holistic and homeopathic ways of treating things. I was frustrated with my medical practice at the time because seeing patients every 15 minutes, it felt like factory work. And one of my patients had just finished all of her chemo and radiation for breast cancer and was just diagnosed diabetic. And she was looking for something new. She asked me about cannabis. And like I said, this was 15 years ago. So I thought she was a little crazy. And what are we talking about, right? But I looked it up and was blown away by the medical information that was available. So, and this is, like I said, this was a while ago, and to know that there were options for patients, for people using cannabis as medicine was totally new information to me. So I took on the challenge and helped her in her journey and saw her blood sugars improving and her sleep and her stress and her work performance and her weight. And so that's how it really got started. And of course, there wasn't a lot I could do at that time. So fast forward 15 years and it became legal in Ohio. I knew that I had to participate.
And so where did you go as a physician? Like you said, there wasn't a lot of resources 15 years ago. I'm sure you
Hmm.
had to do your own digging and your own research. But
Hmm.
can you give some advice, some guidance to other doctors and medical professionals right now of where
Hmm.
you go to get the education? Because I know you teach your own education. You have your own
Right.
curriculum and you provide resources for medical professionals. But can you give us some insight on maybe where people can go that are looking to get more information about how to treat their patients or their loved one using cannabis?
Sure, absolutely. So during that time, I mean, I still started out with Googling, right? But as physicians, we tried to be more discerning and was really looking at, high standard medical research. So PubMed, for instance, is a great resource because you have to meet certain criteria to even be listed there. And so that's what was shocking to me. It's one thing to Google and see different people say different things and what have you. When I saw it on like large research studies or even small ones coming out of Israel and other countries, that's really what grabbed me because I was like, well, this doesn't just show up here. This is here for a reason. Like they've done their work. There's been a lot of work done in this area already. So if you're looking for like the research aspect of it, then obviously PubMed is going to be a source. If you're looking for more clinical practice, it does become more difficult. There are things that you can see online. There's a lot of people that have their own blogs and what have you. There are books that are available, but this is really where I recommend people to get a formal education in cannabis, because otherwise and when you're doing that, you're dealing with people that are doing all the work for you, that can really determine what is hearsay and what is practical and what should be shared. That can be difficult to do on your own. So getting a formal education in cannabis, I think, is incredibly helpful.
And where would one do that?
Where would one do that? So,
Yes.
I mean, there are resources out there. I teach and write curriculum for the Cleveland School of Cannabis and their other entities, which include the Harrington Institute and Cannabis Hub. And they have three different ways to get cannabis education in a very thoughtful and well crafted way. And so, whether you're trying to do it in person or online or in short segments or in large classes, they have something for everybody.
Absolutely. And then there's also Pivotal EDU, which is one of
Hmm.
the Knox Doctors
Yes,
platforms
yes,
that
absolutely.
offer CME credits for any medical
Yes,
professional interested
absolutely.
in learning more about cannabis and the endocannabinoid system and how to use cannabis with your patients. So let me
Yes.
ask you this. I know that there's a lot of literature out there, and some names that come to mind for me when I started doing my research was was Dr. Raphael Meshulam, right? And Dr. Meshulam is that's the research that you were mentioning that was coming out of Israel. And so when you're doing your research and you're looking for people that are certified, are people that have been doing this research for years and years. There's a few names that you want to look for, right? The research that's coming out of Israel is what is at the top of everybody's search in Google. What comes out of Israel really has been at the forefront of the information that we know about cannabis and cannabis research. And that is coming from Dr. Raphael Meshulam and his team there. And so, in case you didn't know, in case there's a name that you did not recognize, Dr. Raphael Meshulam is the doctor that discovered the endocannabinoid system. He discovered that in the early 90s while doing research on the plant in Israel, looking for THC, looking for CBD, looking for those compounds. And he discovered this whole system in our bodies that responds so well to the plant. So that's one name and research that when you run across his name, that is definitely one person that you want to make sure you tap into what it is that he's doing. Dr. Bridget is in the airport, so we're gonna wait for her to come back on the screen. But one of the things that we know as caretakers and medical professionals is that there is research out there that is educating us about the cannabis plant and how to use it as medicine. Dr. Bridget, you back? There you go. You back with us? Yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Uh-oh. Okay. So we'll let her work out her technical difficulties. But one of the things that I wanted to
I don't know if you
mention,
can hear me.
I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you. I can hear
All
you.
right. So
Yes.
unfortunately, I can't hear you for some reason.
Okay. Maybe. Okay. But we're going to bring her back in just a minute. She's probably experiencing some technical difficulties, being that she is at the airport. We're so happy that she was able to join us while she was traveling. But if you are a medical professional, if you are a caretaker out there and you are looking for information that is accurate, you're looking for information that is reliable, then yes, definitely, Dr. Raphael Meshulam is one of those doctors. The Knox Doctors is another platform of doctors that offer researched information, and they also have an organization called ACAM that you can be a part of and join and look at how we can help to fortify your education. So thank you so glad that you're back. Okay, Dr. Bridget. So one of the things that I wanted you to talk to us about was how did you launch Green Harvest Health? When did you do that? So you start your first cannabis patient was 15 years ago, and you saw her make the transition to cannabis, and you saw her health improve. How did you start Green Harvest Health?
Absolutely. So when cannabis became legal in Ohio, I knew I wanted to be a part of it. I became certified to recommend, which is how they handle it in Ohio. So doctors have to go through a short training to be able to be approved to recommend cannabis. After doing so, I was able to get a job with a card company and realized that that was really not the road for me. They are much more, we call them card mills or cards for cash. And I knew I wanted to be much more on the educational side of this. So I went and received further education in cannabis as well as life coaching, because I realized that what really made a difference early in my career was when I was spending significant time with patients and getting to know them and breaking out of that 15-minute visit mold, right?
That's right. Yes.
So then, so when I decided not to go the card mill route, this was really an opportunity for me to treat patients the way I've always wanted to treat them. And so I decided to take a leap and create Green Harvest Health, which we currently have 2 offices. Our main office is in Columbus, and our second office is in Cleveland. And really, it's an opportunity where whether it's virtual or in person, we're doing 45-minute visits with everyone. We're providing life coaching. We're going to be offering IV infusion soon. Like, we really look at a patient from a much more holistic point of view, but still coming from a traditional medical background.
And let me ask you this: when you decided to launch Green Harvest Health, being that it was the only medical cannabis and life coaching office in Ohio, did you get any pushback from your other medical professionals? Were they giving you a hard time about supporting cannabis publicly?
Well, I mean, definitely some noses went up in the air,
Right. Right.
I knew that I was creating a different path. But the fact of the matter is, when it feels right, like,
Yeah.
you can't deny that, right?
That's
And
right.
I knew that I could no longer stick to the same regimen that I had been in for so long. I felt like I wasn't practicing medicine the way I wanted to. And the art of medicine was gone, and I felt like I was doing pharmaceutical medicine. For every diagnosis, there's a pill. You don't like the pill? We'll give you another pill. You got
That's
side
right.
effects from that one? We'll bring in
We'll give you
another one,
another
right?
one. Right.
And
Right.
so, and I'm not anti-pharmaceutical, but I knew that there was a model that I wanted to create that was much more patient-centered and more personalized medicine. And so I still do some family medicine, and I incorporate that in with cannabis. But I also treat cannabis as a specialty of its own, right?
Of
And
course, of
really
course.
giving people an opportunity to, let's look at your other medications. This is a good combination for you, and really utilizing my medical background, which is different. You know, there is a difference when you're incorporating your knowledge about medications, contraindications, side effects, medical diagnoses, and those conditions, and adding
Of
cannabis
course.
in
Of course.
versus someone who knows cannabis well but doesn't know medicine well, right?
That's right.
And
That's right.
so I do incorporate all that together to give patients a different experience.
That's beautiful. Thank you for being brave and for standing up for the plant. It's so important for medical professionals to really stand their ground and say, you know, this is new. The information and the research that's coming out is new, and we can't just keep our heads in the sand and act like cannabis is not medicine. It is.
Right. It is, yeah.
And so thank you for being bold and brave enough to go up against the grain and say, no, I'm going to do what's best for my patients. And so thank you for being that resource in Ohio and beyond, because Green Harvest Health is not just in Ohio. I mean, your clinic is, but you also do education and outreach in other places, and online. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes, absolutely. So I do speaking engagements across the country. I'm actually in Albuquerque's airport right now talking to
Yes.
you. And
Yes.
my goal is really to decrease the chiasm between the cannabis community, the business cannabis community, like the industry, and medicine. And so what I really do is what I consider to be medical motivational talks. And so I read the research, I go over the numbers, I know it well, but I really present things in a way that is a little bit more easier to digest and leaves a longer impression with the community that I speak with. And they leave with really a call to action on how to change their lives or their business or whatever the focus is that we're talking about at that time. So it's a little bit more personable than going through statistics all the time. So
Yep. Well, now tell us a little bit more about your CBD brand, because that's the route that
yes,
you kind of decided to go into as far as a product line was concerned. You offer these
absolutely.
services, your medical card, medical, cannabis education, endocannabinoid system education, but you also have created your own product line of CBD
Yes,
products. And so tell us a
yes.
little bit more about that.
Absolutely. So a couple years ago, I always recommend a fair amount of CBD to my patients. I feel like it is the workhorse of cannabinoid medicine, and that you need to have this as some part of your regimen. And a patient came in and said, "This does not work. It's not any good." And I took a look at what she had, and the color was weird, and the smell was stranger. And I did some research, and it looks like what she had was olive oil and caffeine. And a couple months later, someone else came in, and as soon as she started saying the same thing, I recognized it. And so I realized I recommend way too much CBD not to have more of a hand in what my patients are able to obtain. So I started developing Green Harvest Health CBD medicinals, and we now not only have our brand and formulate many of our own products, but we help other people that want to be in the industry formulate products for themselves as well. So that way, if you have an idea or a concept that you're trying to get to fruition, we work with you to create a product that can also, if it meets the criteria, be considered doctor recommended as well.
Hey, so thank you for coming out with a quality product, that really does have CBD in it, to be able to help patients.
Mhm.
As an insider in this industry, I understand that there are a lot of products that are on shelf that don't even actually have CBD in them. It might be on the label, but once you start peeling back layers, once you get it tested, you realize that in that 1 ounce bottle of tincture, there's only 5% of it has actual CBD in it. And then we also know that CBD isolate has its uses and components, but of course, having some patients need full spectrum, some patients need broad spectrum. There are different opportunities out there with CBD that is not regulated, that is not done underneath the right provisions with our government right now. So I appreciate you understanding the gap and recognizing that you as a medical professional coming out with a quality product that best serves your patients is so important and so valuable. I find it more valuable than you white labeling something and just having it in your office. You went through, took the time to do the research and make sure that your patients have access to safe, quality medicine. So thank you for that. Real quick, Dr. Williams, we have a question. So this young lady, Donna Hernandez, seems like she's in Los Angeles, California. And so she is asking if there is someone that you recommend that can help her and others who deal with severe spinal stenosis and who have had surgeries. Do you know of anyone that maybe is utilizing or has a practice in California that maybe you might recommend her to, or any resources that you might be able to share with her?
Absolutely. So, I mean, there's definitely a base for cannabis and CBD and what she's speaking of. To direct her specifically to someone, I can definitely find someone in that area. Like, I'm also a member of ACAM as well, and so the wonderful thing about ACAM is that we are Black and brown physicians and holistic practitioners all over the country. And so I could definitely do a little research and point her in the right direction, because the nice thing to have, it's wonderful to have great physicians that know what they do well. But it's another thing to have great physicians that are also not closing the door on cannabis use as an option. And so to be able to point someone in that direction is helpful.
Yes, thank you for that. I also serve on the board for ACAM, and so Donna, you can find that list of doctors and those researchers at ACHEMED.org. And that is the organization started by the Knox doctors, and they provide a wealth of information, research, as well as other doctors and medical professionals that could help. So thank you for that, Dr. Bridget. And then, okay, so tell us a little bit more. Now you have your product line. What else did you put out? You also put out a book. Tell us a little bit about that. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So in December, we launched Courage in Cannabis. And so this is a anthology book where I brought together 18 authors that share how cannabis changed their life. This really came out of the fact that when I first started seeing patients in Ohio, for that first year, anyone that had used cannabis before the moment that I gave them their card had been using it illegally. And they all had some story that really just moved me in one way or the other. And I had grown men crying when I'm handing that card over because of their experiences, how they've been hiding the pain that they had gone through, the embarrassment and the shame. And I started jotting down these stories. I had someone that was really interested in helping me publish them, but my heart told me that they weren't my stories. So I kind of pulled back and then got involved with anthologies through some people that I started doing webinars with during COVID, and came out with Courage in Cannabis in December. We're a group of doctors and lawyers, educators, activists, entrepreneurs, patients, caregivers, parents, people that struggle with faith in cannabis, addiction in cannabis, and how cannabis removed them from alcohol and opioids and what have you. And it's really a book for everybody. It's meant to inspire and to educate and to clarify really what cannabis is all about. So my authors are an amazing group of people that share the book with churches and legislators and parents that, I'm not here to convince anyone to start using cannabis, but I definitely want people to be educated so that they don't judge their nephew or their grandson, about their use, right? And so this is really an education tool and really beautiful, inspiring stories that can really make a difference. And this is a series. So this is the first.
Oh,
and we'll be
good.
looking for new authors in a few months here for the next book. So
Awesome.
definitely go to courageincannabis.com and you can learn more about that and how to become an author in our next book. But it's really an opportunity to change how people look at cannabis and change that stigma.
Ooh, thank you for that. Thank you for, creating resources for people so that they know where to go, and that it's information that they can trust. Because
Yes.
that's also important, right? In just the last month or so here, there was research that came out that said cannabis cures COVID, right? And a lot of people on social media ran with that headline. Oh, cannabis
Mhm.
cures COVID. See, I told my wife I've been smoking weed this whole time, and that's why I didn't get COVID. Well, it
Right.
doesn't exactly work that way, right?
Yes.
We have a question. I'm
Sure.
interested in becoming an author. This is Stanley, who is our VP of Hemp. Can you repeat the site again? The site is scrolling at the bottom of your screen, if you all can see it. It's courageincannabis.com. Is that correct?
Yes.
That is correct, right? Courageincannabis.com. So yes, if you are interested in becoming an author, please reach out to Dr. Bridget and submit. But yeah, the information, the research that came out a few weeks ago said that cannabis cures COVID. But remember, if you dug into the research and you actually read the white papers that talked about cannabis curing COVID, we're talking about compounds that come from the hemp plant. And it's not the hemp plant after it's been harvested and cured and dried. Those compounds are gone. So you
Right.
specifically have to look for products that have those two compounds in it and
Right.
consume that product in order to get those benefits from cannabis stopping COVID. You don't get it by smoking it, guys, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, I'm going to say that again. You cannot stop COVID by smoking cannabis. It's not how it works.
Yeah, it sounds exciting, but and it's exciting regardless, right? But
Right.
that little bit of information makes all the difference because yeah, it's after you combust it, after we're talking about the acid form of CBD and the acid form of CBG,
G.
and these are the ones that this is before it's decarboxylated, it's before it's heated, it's before
That's
it's
right.
smoked or burnt. And so, but we're able to extract those and
Yes.
utilize them in really wonderful ways. And
That's right.
so, yes, it is a win for cannabis.
It is.
Not necessarily a win for smoking per se, but it is definitely a win for cannabis.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so you decided to come out with the CBD brand, like you said, like you mentioned, because you wanted to provide a safe, quality brand for your patients. And then,
Yeah.
of course, can you tell us a little bit more about why CBD is so much more valuable as a compound from the plant versus THC? Not saying all the other compounds aren't valuable,
Right.
but can you explain to us a little bit in layman's terms why CBD is so important for the body?
Absolutely. So, as I said before, I feel like it's the workhorse of cannabinoid medicine. And I focus on cannabinoid. People talk about cannabis. It's the cannabinoids that we're really focused on here, right? And CBD is what keeps that endocannabinoid system healthy. It is what keeps your receptors plentiful and able to bind to all the cannabinoids. It's what allows our natural endocannabinoids to stay plentiful and active in the synapse so that they're actually working correctly. And above all that, CBD is really almost like the skeleton key for your entire body. It binds to receptors all throughout your body to increase and decrease different hormone levels or production so that it's either upregulating or downregulating activity so that it makes you, to be honest, feel balanced or feel normal, right? And so it's this interaction that CBD allows to really kind of regulate everything along with the endocannabinoid system. And so, yes, the other cannabinoids are incredibly important, and CBD works better with all of these cannabinoids without a doubt. They work better together than apart. But CBD is really the the push, right? That really keeps everything going.
Yes, CBD
Hmm.
attaches to more receptors in our bodies that come from the plant, but we
Hmm.
cannot shy away from what THC does.
Right.
As an HIV patient, I know the value of THCA and
Mm-hmm.
THCV. And even though the research hasn't been done necessarily like it was done with CBDA and CBGA to stop COVID, because they didn't have access to THCA. That's why they didn't include it in the research. But we
Mm-hmm.
know, as I know as a patient, the
Mm-hmm.
antiviral properties that exist in THCA. And THCA doesn't get you high, you guys, right? This is the
Mm-hmm.
compound that exists on the plant before it's decarboxylized. So
Mm-hmm.
before it has that effect of making you high, so to speak. THCA really does have some high antiviral properties, and so I'm excited to be a part of the research that I'm working with a team of doctors and researchers that is really trying to learn more about THCA. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
that research has to be done out of country because we don't because here in the United States they're blocking researchers from having access to THC. And so, unfortunately, a lot of that information is not going to come out of here, the United States, just yet. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
definitely working with some groups that are going to be looking at THC and THCA and THCV as the medicine that it is. So,
Mm-hmm.
stay tuned for that. We'll be doing a report about that very soon. Okay, Dr. Bridget, is there anything else that you'd like to share with our audience about your experience as a family practitioner that has transitioned fully into a cannabis doctor and educator? Is there any other
Mm-hmm.
information that you'd like to share with our audience before we go today?
Absolutely. So I believe at the end of the day, education is really key. And just in this conversation, we've talked about new findings that are coming up all the time. This isn't you learn some basics and you're ready to go. You constantly have to stay on top of the information. And as if you're a medical provider, whether you are interested in providing cannabis as an option, you still have some responsibility to have some knowledge of it so that you're able to help your patients. Because basically, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Cannabis is here, and the research is being done, and we're finding a lot of medicinal uses for it. And so, doctors have always had cannabis patients, just no one ever talked about it, right? Now we're talking about it, and you have to understand the how drugs interact with it. You have to understand that your patients have questions and needs that pertain to this. And so, whether you're getting into the cannabis space or whether you're staying in the lane that you're in, understanding and knowing more about cannabis is essential.
It's essential, absolutely.
Yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit before you go how the endocannabinoid system, like what is the best resource that you have found to learn more about the endocannabinoid system?
Geez. Oh gosh. I feel like I go through so many different things. Like I did my own training with the Natural Wellness Academy that started me in this journey. Like I said, I work well with the Cleveland School of Cannabis, and I love the Cannabis Hub in particular because let's face it, we kind of have short attention spans these days, right? And
That's
so
right.
the Cannabis Hub really offers short videos in bite-sized pieces for you to take it in, watch it again, and learn a lot without making a huge commitment. And so I really do like offering that to people because for a very low price, you're able to get quality education from great, doctors and specialists in the cannabis field and learn more about the endocannabinoid system. So definitely the Cannabis Hub is one of my favorites.
Well, you heard it straight from the doctor's mouth. You all, education is key. So if you're a caretaker or you're a medical professional
Absolutely.
or you're a patient or you're anyone out there that wants to learn more about cannabis, we're so grateful for Dr. Bridget joining us today and sharing with us some of the resources that she has used and developed. And then make sure you check out her website, Green Harvest .health, because that's where you will learn more about what she's doing in Ohio and where else. What other state are you working in, Dr.
So
Bridget?
I'm licensed in Ohio to see patients, as well as Tennessee, but we haven't gotten there yet.
Right,
But
right.
I do consultations all over the
The
country.
country.
So
Okay,
yes.
good. So you can reach out to her no matter what state you're in.
Yes.
Please make sure you touch base with her. If you're interested in becoming an author in her new series of the book that's coming out, that is Cannabis in
Courage in
In
Cannabis.
Courage in Cannabis. I apologize. CourageInCannabis.com. Reach out to her. Reach out to the brand, because it does seem like this is how we get our voices out. We are the guinea pigs, you all. We are the ones that are forging the path for cannabis as medicine, because the more that you use it and the more that you tell your story, that's how you become a part of the research. So thank you so much, Dr. Bridget. What is your Instagram? If you could just share that with us, and your maybe your Facebook.
Yes, so I think I am Dr. Bridget MD on Instagram, and
Yes.
Green Harvest Health, one word, on Instagram. So that's probably the best way.
Okay.
We do have a Courage in Cannabis on Instagram as well.
Okay.
So as well, all of that's also on Facebook. So definitely reach out. I love talking to people. So send me direct messages, and I'm happy to connect.
Well, we got some people that left a comment, said they already contacted you after seeing this episode. So thank you all so much. Thank you for joining us from wherever you're joining us. Dr. Bridget, thank you again for taking a little bit of time out of your busy day. I know that you were traveling, and so safe travels to you. I know that you will blow their socks off at your speech when you speak when you speak in Albuquerque. But thank you again so much. We really appreciate you taking some time to talk with us today and share your lovely knowledge. Thanks again.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. It's great talking to you.
Same here. Talk to you soon, Dr. Bridget. You all, thank you everyone that joined us today. We had a double header back to back with my brother Stanley Atkins, our VP of Hemp. And so if you joined that, you learned a lot about a new brand. And today we learned about a new doctor. She's not new, but she's definitely a great addition to our family. We love being able to share with you resources so that you can learn more about cannabis as medicine. Thanks again for joining us for this episode of Health is Wellness. We love you all. See you soon. See you next month. All right. Take care.